in the village.
It's cooked yucca chewed.
And they spit it. The mouth enzymes, the sugars work on it, and then it's fermented. And if you really want to gain their confidence, you knock back a huge gourd of this stuff and then call for more.
Yes.
And you have them.
Actually, if you can eat yogurt, it tastes quite good. And you just have to hold to the thought. I used to repeat as some people repeat their beads in Catholics. The fermentation process destroys all pathogenic bacteria. The fermentation process destroys all
See,
over and over and over.
I didn't know that. So my mantra was, it is good to challenge the immune system. It is good to challenge the immune system. Did you ever see, Nicole, the people around La Chorrera, the Witoto there, had this really unnerving habit. There are these large metallic wood borers, buprestid beetles, about this long, very brightly colored.
I don't know those beetles.
They make a very loud noise, and you would be talking to one of these Witoto, and one of these things would fly into the scene and slap against the tree trunk, and they would, without breaking stride, reach out, grab this thing, wrench the soft parts out of. Did you go to that village called Jarocamena?
No, I was there. I was tied down by this sick Indian who'd been bitten by a snake.
Oh, that's right, I remember.
And I couldn't, and then I was only there a few days because I had been waiting for weeks for a chance to get off that bloody Putumayo River. And when I found I couldn't get to the wild Witotos I wanted to get to from there, then I just wanted to get out.
I understand.
Because I was a little tired of the flies. Well, actually, La Chorrera was not bad.
No, it's on
and the nuns were dark.
And
you know, the Mother Siberia had quite a history. She was famous in Ecuador.
Tell
she
me.
had, well, there's a tribe, I can't think of the name. There was a tribe, a quite powerful tribe, right on the highway to Ambato. They had a big village. And they wanted to put the highway through, and the Ecuadorian government had to treat with the Minister of Public Affairs and Construction of the tribe before he could put the highway through. And those Indians, the Ecuadorian government has been very decent to its Indians. And they were allowed to live there in their own way. They didn't let white people in very much. Very rarely let them in, and but they were very orderly. They did good weaving. They were sort of like the Uruguayos in their characters, and they brought in their produce. They were good farmers. They were a good community, orderly and decent, and they were left alone. They did not welcome visits. Well, 3 nuns and a bishop the church decided to Christianize them. So they went in, and at first they were treated with great reserve. They went in to stay 3 months only. Oh, so Salasakas. I'm trying to think of the tribe. So the Salasakas they were not a murderous tribe, they were not a killer tribe, but they were very reserved and very strong, and they had been, when people came in, they would simply pick them up and throw them out. Well, they didn't do that with the bishop and the nuns. So nothing was heard from them. And then they came out and returned because they said they were going to stay 3 months. In the meantime, the nuns had been taking care of the sick. They made a sort of hospital. They taught new ways of weaving and a lot of useful things. And so they went back to Quito and stayed there, the capital. And after a couple of weeks, a delegation of Salasakas came and they called on the Minister of the Interior, who was the only one they'd ever heard about, and they like the Secretary of the Interior, and they asked him, they said to him, "We want to buy the nuns. We will give you so much." And he said, well, he couldn't sell them the nuns. You couldn't buy a nun. They thought he was trying to put up the price. So they kept offering more and more, and they were very prosperous people. And finally, they finally got it explained to them. Then they went to the president, who at that time was Gallo Plaza, who was very amiable, very interested in Indians, and very decent guy. And he finally explained to them that if they went to the papal nuncio, or whoever was the head of the Catholic outfit there, I guess an archbishop, they might be able to arrange. They couldn't buy them, but they would come. And so they did it. And she was the nun. The Mother Superior at La Chorrera was the one who led the nuns in first. She was in charge of the first three.
I wonder if it was the same nun that was there when I was there, because she was very a presence for sure. I remember that.
A quiet, charming woman who had probably been quite beautiful in her youth.
Yes, if any of you are interested in the lower Putumayo, or the history of the rubber boom, or the real deep psychology of this area that we talk about, this book by Michael Tausig called Shamanism, Colonialism, and the Wild Man is absolutely...
I don't know that.
It's an eye-opener. I mean, this guy is not particularly one of us in the sense that he was a Marxist, a labor organizer. His tack was not spiritual.
What was he doing there?
He went to Colombia as a labor organizer and did that for years before he got interested in yahe, as they call ayahuasca in Colombia. And he went to the lower Putumayo, to the valley of the Sibundoy, and reports on the history of it in horrific terms, and La Chorrera figures in all of that.
It was dreadful.
And also talks about his own experiences with contemporary shamans, many of whom, I'm sure Nicole knew them, I certainly knew them. Did you know that guy Don Apollinaire, who lived near Florencia, that was Eduardo's friend?
Yeah, I met him. I met him, I think he was in Leticia briefly.
And Don Francisco, who was his friend. Anyway, legendary guys.
What was the name again?
The name of the book is Shamanism, Colonialism, and the Wild Man by Michael Tausig.
Colonial.
It's University of Chicago Press, and just eye-opening book, needs to be read, will not be read by many people, but quite a masterpiece, I thought. Taussig. Other questions or issues? Yeah.
For Nicole, do you think a delegation would be willing to come to Washington from any of those tribes to speak for not being defoliated in a drug war?
I am sorry to say that most of them have been absorbed into the drug culture, into the drug vending. They've been quite corrupted. In the first place, to them, coca has been something you grow, and when they grow it for the cocaineros. Well, why not? Because they've always grown it. And then after they get a lot of money, which is very bad for them, and they lose all sense of responsibility. They become drunks very easily. It's a strange thing. The American Indian, too, takes to alcohol. You see, in their native setting, in their original culture, one of the strange things about South American indigenous people was that there were no alcoholics and no drug addicts, at least in